What happens when a college student takes down an entire power grid just to mine Bitcoin? Well, if you've ever seen the TV show Billions, you might remember the scene where Gordy Axelrod, the son of the billionaire Bobby Axelrod, nearly shut down his entire school because his underground Bitcoin mining operation consumed too much electricity. But here's the bigger question. Could something like this actually happen here on a much larger scale? Well, today the Bitcoining, the mining that they were talking about, the artificial intelligence, and everything related to that is pushing our energy consumption to levels we really haven't seen in modern history. So what does that mean for us? And especially for you as an investor? Because right now we're seeing that demand for electricity is outpacing supply, and what that will lead to is a massive disruption. And this is one that could be a huge investment opportunity to come, especially over the next decade. Now that's where this is really going to come back to you, and breaking down some of the things that happened in Billions, how that mirrors the real world challenges that we're facing right now with some of our own energy infrastructure. So we'll explore some of these investment opportunities, the emerging market with AI, crypto, as well as all the next generation power grids that are going to be needed. So if you're a business owner, a retiree even, or a high net worth investor, these are all trends that you can be looking at and seeing if they're going to be a great piece of the puzzle for your portfolio. So let's dive into some of these things. Now, let's go back to Billions. Imagine you're a college student, and yes, I understand that was a long time ago, but what you have a passion for is technology and finance, and you hear about Bitcoin and all the different ways that you can mine it. So you generate digital currency by solving these complex mathematical puzzles. But here's the catch. It requires a massive amount of electricity. And that's exactly what happened in Billions when Bobby Axelrod's son, Gordy Axelrod, actually decided to set up a secret mining operation in his school dormitory. So his idea was that if he could mine for Bitcoin before anyone else did, he could cash in on kind of the big moves that were happening there. But here's the problem that really kind of showed up in the movie or in the TV show itself, is that the mining rigs that he had set up are energy hogs. And before long, the entire school's electrical system started to push its limits. And what we started to see is that the lights were flickering, power surges started happening, and then ultimately that the school dormitory lost all of the power and the grid collapsed. So that's what happened in the school. It lost power all because of Gordy's secret operations. So yes, the school tracked down the mining that was going on, and since it was unauthorized, Gordy got caught, and then he had to meet with his father, Bobby. That's the show. It didn't give anything away by it, so if you haven't seen it, go in and take a look at this piece of it. And it really shows a lesson though, because he realizes something huge, that if a school can find him and all the Bitcoin mining that's happening there, obviously cities can, but more importantly, the infrastructure of cities and the industries that are adopting this technology need this power as well. So there's something bigger at play that is really being highlighted here with this show and all the different elements. But yes, it's just a fictional moment, but what we're starting to see is that Bitcoin has already caused some major power disruptions in Texas and New York and China even as well. So cities with aging infrastructure and the outdated grids are really struggling to rise enough and raise enough energy for meeting the demands and all of the cryptocurrency and AI stuff that's coming out. And what we're witnessing is that this is an early warning sign of a lot of things that could possibly be to come. You see, when we talk about just our needs for electric, generators, for when we have some issues with all of the different weather we're having, when we need to have more AC units, all of that is power hungry. But then if we are using a lot of cooling technologies, a lot of power just to work with data centers, as well as some of this new found artificial intelligence, well, now you can really start to see how the power can have a huge demand in the future, heading to what could be a full-blown energy crisis. But here's where things really get interesting, because when we're talking about the crisis, when we're talking about things, there are opportunities. And so we want to actually explore some of these opportunities and ways that we can be looking to invest into elements of the trend in the future. And we're not just talking Bitcoin, and we're not just talking artificial intelligence per se. But what Gordy Axelrod did in the show is it really caused that, well, failure, because it was how Bitcoin mining works. And it's really the fact that it's a power-hungry element. And artificial intelligence is the exact same way, because when we're taking a look at the networks and all the central authorities that happen with banks and all the different controls that they have, it's a verified process. And all of this requires computers. All of these require really hard problems that are being solved by mathematics, which we need cooling and all the different data structures that come with it. So that's where we're starting to see all the power that is needed for, just say, Bitcoin. But there's all these other elements as well, that there's the calculations that are there with the insane power usage, the huge energy consumptions. And then when we start looking at the different ways that the networks work, places like Argentina, the Netherlands are really trying to make this happen and use these technologies to their benefit. And they also have an energy setup, much like the US, they can't always sustain it. So yes, we're starting to see these crop up all over the world, and computers that are running around the clock for these transactions. And that's where we're starting to get a lot of the energy consumption. When we take a look at industries that are pushing electricity, and we're taking a look at all the different elements here, we have artificial intelligence, which we've been witnessing. We have the data centers, we have the machines that are running all the learning algorithms. Then we have electric vehicles that are really starting to crop up more and more over the course of even just the last couple of years. Whether it's the US or huge shift in China, we're switching away from gasoline to the power grid, and we're not ready for it yet. So the factories that are there, the automation that's coming out, the high power consumption computers that are there, it's all really going to be a perfect storm for the energy consumption. And right now our power grids aren't built for this, for the demand that's out there. And that's where we have a lot of opportunities, because as the demand skyrockets, we need to be building new infrastructures, keep the world running. So that's where we'll take a look at everything here. Like I said, the electric vehicles, the AI power centers, the data centers that are out there. Well, we can really start to see that our grid here in the US is, yes, complex, but it's old, and it wasn't built for the energy consumptions and the things that we're using today. So that's where we can see cracks and ultimately things start to happen in our own cities. So with the energy though, with the demands here, by 2024, we need to have an electric grid that can really increase its capacity by at least 50%. So yes, we have renewable energy. Yes, we have all these different ways that we can be using our existing power plants to do that, but that's not going to be just enough. So we have to look at all the different ways we can keep up with that rising demand. And that's where the energy crunch can turn into an investment. So yes, there are now companies that are trying to solve this and are really poised for this growth and working on this. So we have utilities that are out there. We have different types of companies that are trying to affect our power for the good. And since we need to have what is projected over $1 trillion of upgrades in just our electric grid alone, we see that, well, nuclear is going to be one of the ways that we can do this easily and in a clean fashion. So there's a huge push right now for nuclear energy because it's reliable and it can be 24/7 power that can be scaled. So we can also do this with the data centers, with a lot of the energy efficiencies that are there. That's another way that we can be controlling this. But now we can have even micro reactors as part of some of these. Well, then we have all the Bitcoin mining, the things that happen with solar, with wind, with nuclear, with all of these different plants that are coming online, we can see a shift in how we're being able to apply the power here. But also what we can be doing is using this as a way to say there's many different elements and ways we can be working on the different investments for your portfolios in the future, because electricity is something that we need. It's a demand that is there and it's going to continue to keep growing. And right now, with the age of our infrastructure, cities as well as different companies are going to need to modernize it, going to put money towards it. And that's where we see a huge push in the future and some investment opportunities. Energy is going to be a piece of it. The smart grids and some of the advanced infrastructure and the companies that really come into that are going to be great ones to consider, especially a part of things in the future. So it may not just be the most exciting technology company that you can have as part of your portfolio, but having these companies that are specializing in the energy grid, this will also help you to transform your portfolio as well. As you start to recognize this, see these as some opportunities and the ways that we can be shifting in history, I think you'll really find this something that you should be looking into as part of your own portfolio. So do me a favor here, hit the like button, help others find this, as well as subscribe to our channel, because we're really diving into these investment strategies and opportunities and ways they can be helping your own portfolios to make sure that you have everything you need for growth in the future, as well as for protecting from the unforeseen drops of the economy as well. So comment below as you have different ideas that you want us to be considering, and think about some of the biggest opportunities that are out there. Let's keep this conversation going. So right now, take the next step. Explore how these trends could impact your financial future. Like this video, and if you would like to talk more about your wealth plan, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to talk. I'm going to see you on the next video. Take care.